Our client lost £100,000 to an investment scam. He asked us to hide his identity, but wanted to share his story to help others.
When crypto sort of took off, I was sort of on the peripheral, so did a little bit in like Bitcoin. And then it was when NFTs come out, I felt like I was in a better position than others in terms of I knew a bit more than average. Very, very common. There's always a Discord. That's where they all sort of had their communities. So it started off as a completely different project. Then after about maybe 2 months of sort of relative silence and no further updates, there was an announcement from a new owner called DM Scalping. Introduced himself as Damien, sold himself as one of the top 10 brokers in North America and a multi-millionaire. What he started doing was basically just live trading. Very quickly, he got a good following. After a while, you could buy a place on a training program that he was putting together. That was really successful. So really legit, everyone was really happy with it. I think we talk about sort of building trust with scammers. That was one of the techniques that I guess he used. And then I guess when you try and do something else that's maybe a bit larger, you feel safe. Pretty much from almost day one, people were saying, please, can I just send you money and you do this? You know, it's obviously working. He was for a long time saying, no, don't want anything to do with this. This is as far as I'm going with it. In December of 23, he started opening up and saying, okay, I'll do this. We can have this pooled fund, but actually the minimum buy-in is 100k. We had a big spreadsheet and it showed each day how the fund was growing. But actually straight away I noticed that there were people putting 10k in, 15k, 20, and he came across as these people can't afford that, but I still want to be able to help them. Maybe once or twice a week a new name will be added to I think around 30 people at a value of $1.3 million in total.
Building trust is the single most important thing that any scammer has to do in order to win. Training programs are very common, especially with crypto. These people know that it's a source of funds. The training provides people with assurance that the person providing the training knows what they're doing and knows more than them. In this case, and as with many of the cases that we've got, the most important thing is sharing returns. The returns were demonstrated to go up and up, making the victim even more interested and involved in the scam. As soon as the new people get involved, they see the history, they see more people getting invested, they see other people having got wins. You believe what's happening, you have no reason to discount that. And so because of that, and when you see others doing it, it just self-perpetuates the fraud.
We got sort of February, March time, and that's when this ICO first came up. There was one that happened in December, which we missed out on, and they'd made really large returns, allegedly. I guess without any group discussion or approval, you put all the money into that. And then we had a guaranteed contract, allegedly, with an exit price of 10. But then the deadline for when they'd accept sort of new funds into the ICO kept getting extended. So there was another person in the group, and he was looking to withdraw 2 million from his business to add to the 300k that he put in. And truth be told, I think that's why it kept getting extended, because they were waiting to see if he would put that in. His bank just wouldn't allow it. And shortly after that, the deadline closed. So Damien went completely silent. And then someone created a channel without Damien and said, I've managed to speak to him on Discord. And basically what's happened is at the point where he's tried to withdraw, whoever owns that ICO had asked for a withdrawal charge of about 500,000 or 600,000. Obviously after that bombshell was dropped, a lot of people then went into the chat with Damien and said, what's going on? What's the update? You know, you need to tell us. And again, he just was completely silent. And after about 6 or 8 weeks, he basically put one message in the WhatsApp chat just to say, unfortunately, we have been scammed. And that was the only message we received. About 6 months later, I approached him on Discord and he did respond to that. I just did it to see whether he'd actually come back up. He talked about, you know, this wasn't my fault, very sort of self-pity and always trying to put him on the same side as us, which again just adds to the confusion.
I've seen no evidence to suggest that this ICO was real. All we have seen is him taking money from these victims. He gave everyone an end date in order to provide some sort of pressure, some sort of clarity for all the people, not just making them feel comfortable that their winnings were coming, but putting pressure on new people coming in. Missing out and the pressure of missing out on positive investments, particularly ones where you can demonstrate that they could have been involved, is a very powerful psychological tool that scammers use in these cases. In relation to crypto, for every one that's legitimate, there are thousands that are not. There are people trying to take your money, either by scamming you to your face or behind your back. And so with these sorts of cases, we see hundreds of these, and it's a common tactic among scammers. They use things like withdrawal fees, unexpected transfer fees, transactions, problems from banks. They use these things to give reasons for them to escape liability to the victims. Normally, none of it's true, and it's just them taking your money.
The first person I reached out to was Action Fraud, and actually really quickly they came back and said they wouldn't be able to take it on. I remember reaching out to the bank and they came back and said, because I hadn't sent my funds directly from a bank account to the scammer, I'd used Coinbase, that they wouldn't be looking into it any further. I'd heard a radio advert for CEL. Had a really great call with one of your colleagues, talked me through the process. It was the first time I'd actually spoke in great detail about the scam, so I actually found it quite therapeutic to be able to speak to someone about it. And then, walked me through the process, signed me up as a sort of CEL client, and then went from there. CEL were sending me monthly updates just to say that this is where it is specifically. We're trying to push it from our side, but there is a waiting queue or whatever. And then, out of the blue, completely had a message from a colleague at CEL to say, we've had an outcome from the financial ombudsman. They are aligned to what the investigator had said, and they're demanding that NatWest will send a full refund plus the 8% that CEL had requested for the duration of the funds being lost. I remember getting sort of tingles all over my body and thinking like, this is finally coming to an end and finally put this behind me and move on. It was amazing to hear. I found speaking to CEL really great, not just from a therapeutic perspective, but also they're completely compassionate, really friendly, really approachable to talk to. I never once felt judged in what's been quite a traumatic experience and very embarrassing having to talk about.
In this case particularly, I can only praise him for having the guts to come forward, to do the work, to try and get the evidence forward and to come and seek help straight away. If you're walking the street and someone mugs you, you don't suddenly feel bad for how you could possibly have been mugged. You get angry at the person who did it, you seek help, you go to the police, you get lawyers, you help yourself, and you try and do something about it. And so I can only recommend that if this has happened to you, give us a call, have a chat with us. We'll let you know what can be done. We'll advise you on the best possible steps, and then we'll take those steps and we'll work with you. We'll advise, you make the decisions, and we'll do the very best we can.